Good evening. Dan Rather reporting. It has been more than 2 years since President Bush sent U.S. troops into Panama to arrest Manuel Noriega and force him to stand trial in the U.S. on U.S. drug and racketeering charges. Today, the jury returned its verdict. CBS News correspondent Juan Vasquez covered the trial in Miami.
The 56-year-old former Panamanian leader showed not a trace of emotion as the foreman handed the jury's verdict to the court. 2 counts of racketeering, guilty. 1 count of conspiracy, guilty. 4 counts of manufacturing, smuggling, and distributing cocaine, guilty. 1 count of money laundering, guilty. Noriega never blinked as Judge William P. Hoovler read the formal verdict. Conviction on 8 counts, acquittal on 2. President Bush, who ordered the invasion of Panama in 1989 to get Noriega, was pleased.
But I think it's a good thing, and I think the main thing is it sends a message to the drug lords that they are going to be brought to justice.
Noriega's attorneys said the general refused to say a word about the verdict, but they are bitter.
Unless leaders of foreign governments are willing to kneel once a day and face Washington and give praise to George Bush, they too may be in the same posture as General Noriega.
The unprecedented trial of the de facto leader of another country was the result of the U.S. invasion of Panama that cost the lives of 24 American soldiers and more than 500 Panamanians. After surrendering to American soldiers, General Noriega was turned over to U.S. drug agents and brought to this country in handcuffs, like a common criminal.
I think it's a case of historic significance because of who it is and the manner in which he was brought here.
In Panama, Noriega wielded enormous power, but during the 6-month trial, he watched his former friends and associates testify that he demanded huge bribes to facilitate drug shipments from Panama to the United States. Noriega's attorneys told the jury that much of the vital testimony had been bought and paid for by the government in the form of deals and plea bargains with convicted felons. Prosecutors, obviously pleased and relieved at the outcome, defended the plea bargain process, saying that's the way many of the biggest drug cases are made. Noriega faces a maximum sentence of 120 years in this case, but that's not the end of his troubles. He's also been charged with marijuana smuggling in Tampa, and back in Panama, the government wants him to stand trial for murder. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Miami.
In Miami, ousted Panamanian leader Manuel Noriega was sentenced today 40 years in prison. He was convicted of drug trafficking and racketeering. Correspondent Doug Tennell has Noriega's day in court.
Noriega showed up for the sentencing in a heavily starched full-dress uniform with gold braiding on the shoulders. And the one thing that really seemed to anger Noriega today was a remark by prosecutor Pat Sullivan that he may not have the right to wear it. "Let us treat each other with respect here," Noriega said, barely able to contain the anger in his voice. As he began a long, rambling speech to the court, Noriega blew a kiss toward his daughters and wife, Felicidad. Her public appearances have been rare since videotape from a security camera captured her cutting buttons off clothing in a major Miami department store and led to a shoplifting charge. Today, Manuel Noriega portrayed himself as both prisoner of war and political prisoner, a victim of a vendetta by both Presidents Reagan and Bush. "There is a strong political smell in this case," Noriega said. He charged that the jury that convicted him was unable to grasp the politics of his conviction.
Noriega's lawyers say they are planning to appeal. They expect that may take as long as 5 to 6 years to work its way through the courts. Experts say the U.S. government spent $200 million to convict Manuel Noriega. Now it will fall to U.S. taxpayers to pay for his appeal, too. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Miami.